Howdy y'all, Fuzzy Biker here. There's La Rosa, my Himalayan, and we're here to talk about this back tire. It is a true ADV tire. It is a Dunlop Trail Max Mission. It says so right there. And it's a true ADV tire. I would classify it as that for sure. That's why I bought it. It's considered a 50-50 tire, whatever that means. It's 50% gravel, 50% pavement. I don't know what that means, but I think it works really well. It's got some interesting features. The reason I chose it was I liked the way it looked. I liked the way that it had this very heavy tread. I like these side lugs. That was really important to me. My old tire had 4,400 miles on it. It was a C-Out that came with the bike. A very good tire also, but half the weight of this tire. And it got a big staple in it. I think if I'd had this tire and got the staple in the meat of the tire, I wouldn't have had a flat that day. So I think the heavier tire is a good resistance to that kind of stuff. It's got these very deep grooves in it, which I think are very good for weather, rain, dirt, mud. I have had it in a little bit of mud, and it did all right. It cleared itself pretty well. Very aggressive looking tire. The other thing is it's a high compound or high mileage compound, so it's a very hard tire. They're rated on a scale, and I don't know what the scale goes to, but this is rated as an 84. And that was about as hard a tire as I could find for this motorcycle. And it's supposed to last forever. A friend of mine had these on his Tiger, and he changed them at 8,000 or 10,000 miles, and he said he didn't need to change them. He was going on a long trip, so he wanted fresh tires. That's why he changed them. But did very well for him. I wanted the tire because, like I just talked about, I wanted a bulletproof tire. I wanted something that, I don't have to worry about getting a puncture as much when I'm out in the middle of nowhere. And this tire kind of fits that bill. Yeah, like I said, it's a very heavy tread. It's a very stiff sidewall, by the way. Very thick, heavy sidewall. It's got these big lugs on it. I think a heavy sidewall will help the tire, if you get into the rough stuff. These lugs will help protect the sidewall also and the rim. So I'm pretty happy about that. It's a very stable tire because it's heavier. It's got more of that centrifugal force. As the tire spins, the heavier the tire, the better gyroscope it makes. So that's a plus also. Get you some looks in there. Bike's filthy because I've been gravel roading all day. It was also, by the way, very affordable. Very stable tire. It takes a little more power to run it because it is heavier. You can actually slightly feel. I think I could, when I put this on, I could tell immediately that there was a slight amount of power that had to go to spinning that tire. When you go accelerate, it takes just a little bit more because it's a little heavier, rotating mass. The tire is, we'll start with pavement. The tire is really good on pavement. It's just like a street tire on pavement. I have had no performance issues with it at all on pavement. Wet pavement, dry pavement, even sandy pavement. It works very well, very predictable, very easy. And like I said earlier, very stable. Gravel like this, it's a dream on this stuff. Now when I first got the bike, it was winter. When I first got the tire, it was winter. And I took it on a couple rides where it was about 32, 33 degrees, and the thing, I ended up pulling over a couple times because I thought I had a flat, and I did this on two different occasions. And I think that is because the heavy compound, the hard compound used on the tire, I think when they got in that extra cold, it just lost all its ability to grip. And it just caused me those kind of problems. Now, above 40, above 38 degrees, it wasn't quite as grippy as I thought it should be, but it was still pretty darn grippy. You didn't have to spend your time managing the tire as you rode, and above 40 is just fine. And in the last month, we've had these warmer weather. I haven't had any trouble. I've actually learned to love the tire. One of the things I wonder about is that partly the warm weather, and is it partly the fact the tire is starting to wear in? This tire is about 4,000 miles on it, by the way. I put about 3,900 miles on it already, so. I changed it at 4,400, and the bike has just about 8,400 miles on it, so pretty close to 4,000 miles. On dirt, it's perfect. I love it on dirt, very good on dirt. In mud, I've had it on mud just a couple times. It clears itself, it does okay. I'm not a mud rider. I don't like to clean a dirty motorcycle. Well, I have a dirty motorcycle all the time, but I don't like big globs of mud on my bike. And I had this, I took this on, I go to Nebraska often, I take a bridge, it's a metal grate bridge. And it goes over that metal grate just fine. I have no trouble with that. So does the front C-Out that's on there. That's the original tire that was on the bike. That's the, and I've got a Dunlop Tour Max for the front. I just haven't put it on because this tire is wearing so well. That's got 8,400 miles on it, by the way. 8,400, still, you know, still pretty good. But I'll get that changed here pretty soon, probably the next couple thousand miles. Rain grooves on the highway. Rain, in the rain. This tire has just been fine. I drive a lot of weather. I like driving, you know, a little bit of weather doesn't bother me. I've got this big windshield in the front. So I don't mind going down a gravel road or pavement with this tire. It works very well. Like I said, the cons are poor cold weather running. It's a noisier tire, takes a little more power, and but it is good on the roads. It is good on all kinds of surfaces. And I already talked a little bit about that front tire. The back tire was a Seat, and the back tire was a Seat. It was half the weight of this tire. It performed very well on pavement. It did good on gravel, very good on gravel, I would say, and dirt. But it loaded right up in the mud. In the mud, it just turned a big slick. Overall thoughts. So final conclusions. You know, it's a great tire. If you aren't in a cold region, it's pretty darn good. If you've got an ADV like this, because it is an ADV tire, I wouldn't call this a dirt bike tire, and this is not a dirt bike. So you know, if you need a good ADV tire, you're going to do a little bit of pavement, a little bit of gravel, a little bit of dirt. This thing is a very good all-around tire for that kind of stuff. It's very stable, very swift. It's durable, long-lasting, and I think it's good looking. And I think it's got a good price. I think I paid $100.50 for the tire, $140, something like that for the back tire, and I think I paid about $110 for the front tire. The front tire is at home. Downsides are the cold weather handling, you know, and a little bit of power that it takes to run the tire. It's just a little bit noisy. Well worth it, well worth it. So that's my 2 cents on the Dunlop Tour Max Mission Wahoo. Y'all get out there and ride. Life's too short.